An eargasm of learning and a no-fuss show. Welcome to the Creative Talk Podcast, where you can learn straightforward topics about branding, digital entrepreneurship, online business, and many more with your charming host, John Santos, along with inspiring entrepreneurs, creators, and thought leaders worldwide.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Creative Talk Podcast with me, John Santos, and we have a special guest. I am really excited. I'm a fan. I am just, at first, her character is so awesome. Not to say very talented, very beautiful. Guys, our guest for today is just a celebrity. In my perspective, she is. A business strategist, an entrepreneur, guys, host and creator. Wow, very awesome. I'm just a fan of this person because as big as she's just very humble, guys, very humble. And she is with us today in this episode. Guys, the number one sports station in the Pacific Northwest. Wow. One of ESPN's female golf radio host and co-creator for show. Woo! Big special guest for today, guys. Let's all welcome Shon Crew. Welcome to the Creative Talk Podcast.
Thank you. Can we just stop there? And I mean, that was perfect. I'm good. Roll. Let's cut.
You can always cut the video part, and then you can use it. Intro and every guestings that you do.
I'll send it to my parents. They'll be happy. So,
yeah, but Shon, we've talked off cam, we've exchanged messages in LinkedIn, and I just want to say it again. Thank you for being here. I know you have a busy schedule, running a business also, and then different time zone, but you're here with us in this episode. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Of course, I have a lot of love for people who host shows. I do it myself, and I'm always happy to make the time. So thanks for having me on.
Yes. Okay. Let's start off with our tradition here in the Creative Talk Podcast. We believe that, there's always an interesting story behind every success. And clearly you are very successful in your field of expertise, broadcasting, you're a brand strategist, you are entrepreneur. Now, we are all very excited to learn what influenced you or who influenced you. So the floor is yours. Please share your story.
Okay. Well, let's see who influenced me. I mean, I think it's evolved over the years, but it certainly started with, I'll say my mom was a really good influence. Probably not the first person to say that, but she was a real grinder. I mean, in terms of work and growing up, I think she was a really big example to me. And, I learned from her that working hard was key. And I actually really love the fact that not only did she talk about what I could do and that I could do anything I wanted, but she was really a great example of that. I went to work with her often as a kid. She was a sales executive initially and then moved up into executive roles. But being able to see her, her name on a leaderboard with 10 other guys and seeing her name at the top, she always talked to me about how I'd have to work hard, that life wouldn't be fair, business wouldn't be fair, but if you work hard, it would pay off. So she was probably the biggest one. And then, for me, eventually I knew, I initially started my career in corporate America, I knew I wanted to be a journalist. So I think that, just couldn't help but idolize people like Barbara Walters and Connie Chung and Oprah, and then eventually Hannah Storm, wanting to get into sports. So, so probably a lot of women, probably a few men along the way as well, but those are the names that pop out first. So.
Wow. And I'm curious, was it easy for you to, climb up the ladder in journalism, in broadcasting because you're a female? Or was it something that you find very, it's a struggle? Is it a man's world in broadcasting and journalism?
Well, in sports, I would say yes. And I will say, yeah, it certainly has been more work. I feel like I've lived two lives almost. I spent more than a decade working in corporate America. I had a business of my own at one point, and then I knew I wanted to get into journalism. I actually went to school to be a journalist, and then realized that I wasn't going to make a lot of money. So then I decided to take a different career path. Of course, doing that after I paid for 4 years of college. But yeah, I think it has been a little more difficult in some ways. And then in others, what I've realized is just really being strategic. It's probably a big word that I use when I think about my own career. But one of the things now, and I'm really proud to say that I've been a co-host of a show with ESPN for the last 9 years. As of this week, it is now my show. I'm the solo host, and it will be a show that I'm excited to kind of carry on my own. But one of the things that I think has helped, and the thing that I realized a while ago, is that for me, and again, I think I go back to what my mom taught me as a younger child, is being able to, willing to put in the work. I show up not just with the skills of hosting, but I can do quite a bit more. I have a business mind. And I think that being able to bring that to the table is key. I wish that more women thought about that, more people thought about that. So I'm going to say that women don't, but I think that once I really started realizing that if I can be strategic in how I manage my career, especially as a sports journalist, that path got a lot easier.
So. Wow. But Shon, now that you mentioned that, you mentioned bits about you running a business, being an entrepreneur. And I know that you are, heavy leaning towards building personal brands. So business, brand building, that's where you are focusing at the moment. Obviously, alongside with you being on camera and everything. And I'm excited to know, before we jump into that topic, can you share some stories why you did that shift, being in a corporate world, now running your business? And that's a whole new different game. From being in a corporate world, now you're running your own business and brand building. Can you share some story? What happened? What made the transition?
Well, so like I said, I knew I wanted to be a journalist, and I actually knew it was going to be sports journalism. But for some reason, I also had this calling that I wanted to work in corporate America. I think I kind of wanted to follow in my mom's footsteps and probably make my grandparents proud. And so this idea of working in corporate America was just something I knew I wanted to do. And I did it well. And what was great about it is I initially moved in, I had a job right out of college, actually started with a company while I was in college. That company now is AT&T Wireless, but started, in the corporate world. And it was so great, really just learning and understanding business, learning how to sell, learning how to build relationships, really being able to see business from all aspects of business, right? And but I knew that there was going to be an expiration date on it. I just knew that at some point in time that was going to be, I was going to do all what I wanted to do. So I had achieved, I think, the highest level of corporate sales that I could do, which was calling on some of the biggest accounts in the country. But then I knew, I was like, okay, I've done what I wanted to do. Now I want to move on to the next thing. That's when I started working on the concept for starting my golf show. And again, I actually looked at it from a business perspective. I saw a need in the marketplace. I think golf is becoming a little more cool now than it was when I thought of this 10 years ago, but I had my eye on it. Even then, wanting to start the show, I actually originally wanted to do the show myself. I wanted to kind of create it, put something together, had an idea for TV. And I realized that, wow, this is a lot of work when you don't have a brand behind you and you want the production quality. So I put the idea on hold and then revisited it and came back to radio, and was able to fortunately launch it with ESPN. But even then, it was still kind of just a part-time gig that I wasn't really doing, spending a lot of time on. And along the way there, kept doing my corporate work to be able to make the money. So I wasn't so focused on, how am I going to pay the bills? In a way, my corporate work was my side hustle. Okay. So, but I was making great money and I still had the show, and I was kind of working, I guess you could say, 2 jobs. from there, I saw an opportunity to launch a business, but different than either of these things. This business was in the real estate world, and I ended up launching this business 5 or 6 years ago. Saw a need in the marketplace, built the business quickly, made a lot of money doing it. And again, knew that there would be a way to exit out because I knew it wasn't going to be something I would do forever. So that was an interesting time in my life. I learned a lot about business and people then. But that has set me up to be able to focus now 100% on my golf show. So an interesting path, very much not traditional.
I agree.
But I'm proud of it and it's worked out. So I've knock on wood, it's worked out well.
Yes. And congratulations, by the way. You mentioned that the show is yours. You are the solo in the show. Wow.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. It's for some people it'll be like, oh, overnight. No. This has been, a good long decade worth of work. So
exactly. I'm really yes. Now I love what you said about, building the brand because it really helps. Okay. Now that's what I'm waiting for. The importance of, building a personal brand. Okay. But before that, let me just ask you this, Shon. Based on your experience, because I'm excited to learn from you, and I know our listeners and viewers are very excited to learn from you. What are the basic tips in building a personal brand that you can share with us based on your experience? Because you clearly said that branding is very important, in solidifying that business, that look, that persona. The floor is yours.
And if I can also just share why, you and I talked about a little bit about, what I could come on the show and talk about. For me, one of the struggles I was having is here I had this background that had a lot of depth in the corporate world. I had this business, I had my show. And at one point I felt like this feels a little bit like an identity crisis. If people don't know who I am, if they don't know me, if they can't figure it out in 10 seconds, how in the world do I
love that. I love that. Sorry, I love that. Yeah.
Right. So what I realized was I need to figure out how to manage my personal branding better. And in doing so, you'd think, well, someone who's on the radio, someone who has a show with ESPN, of course, they're going to have a website. That's what they should have. Well, I hadn't had one yet. Kind of something that wasn't really very strategic. But what I came away with was, wow, this is really something that everybody should be doing. It's not something for just public figures. If you own a business, if you're a specialist in what you do, if you're looking for a job, if you could be looking for a job someday, why not manage the content people see about you? So that's kind of the backstory of what I would say why. But what you can do. I mean, first of all, I think the nice thing about, if you think about one aspect of it, again, just being the website, having your own site. Who are you? What's your story? And what do people need to see about you? Because, what we sometimes, even though we think we know who we are, that may not be how people perceive us, right? So how can we capture that better? What are you doing now and what do you want to be doing, right? Resumes, even sometimes LinkedIn, we're using it as a way to talk about the history of what we've done, but we're not really sharing with people what do we want to be doing. So this is a great way to be able to say, not only this is what I've done, but this is what I want to be doing. This is how I want to be seen. And then I also think, telling your whole story is key because at this point, in this day and age, right, relationships matter so much. Back in my sales days, I was told that the more money someone spent on something that they were buying, the more they cared who they were buying from, right? So I don't care about who I'm buying a can of Coke from or Diet Coke from, but I do care who I'm buying my home from or who I'm working with to buy my home, right? And so being able to share a little bit more about you and giving people a little more insight. What are you passionate about? What drives you? That's the sort of thing that you can put again on your website that gives people a better picture of who you are. So, I think that it really, to me, these are all the things that if you can manage that content yourself and then pull in things like social media, YouTube channels, podcasts, all of that, you're owning it yourself. And then, it's kind of that home base for people to learn more about who you are.
Wow. I agree. Actually, let me support that. I love that you mentioned about, you telling, and building a brand so that people will know who you are and what you do, right? Because I really believe that, a brand is not what you say you are. It is what the people, the consumers, your audience, your market say about you, who you are. That's what they see. If you, and that's where the, misconception in today's world. We tend to throw out stuff, content, and we think that, hey, this is what I want, this is who I am, this is what I'm building. We throw it out in different social platform, but people perceive it in a different way. They say, no, you're saying differently. You're not like that. We don't connect. And I love what you said, that you need to have that connection. You need to build that relationship with your audience, because when you do so, you create authenticity. And when you do create that authenticity, what you say connects to what they perceive who you are. And that builds your brand, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And and that was, for me, a big part of figuring all of this out was, let's just say this. First of all, if I meet someone or hear about someone, the first thing I'm going to do is Google them, right? I think most of us do, right? So why not control what information people see about who you are? Secondly, I spend a lot of time helping other companies build their brands. Even when I had my own business, I was focused on building that brand. But you have to realize, if you leave that company, even if they have a wonderful a bio about you on their website, or if you build a business and maybe there's a little blurb about who you are, if those things change or those things go away, what are you left with? And so I think that being able to say, okay, I'm going to take everything about who I am and present it. I'll control my narrative. I think that's huge. And I think that in 2021 and beyond, there's just no excuse anymore for why we can't manage that. And you can control exactly what that is. It doesn't have to be that, if you don't have a blog and you don't have, YouTube videos that you want to be posting, that's fine. There's still a lot of other content you can put together that at least tells people who you are. But I always think it's a great way to get people ready for who you are, as opposed to waiting until, say, you want that job and now you're waiting for them to give you that interview to learn more about you. Why not put yourself in a spot where, hey, if someone's going to Google you, let them see who you are, and maybe, just maybe, you beat someone else to the punch because now they know a little bit more about you and they're coming in a little stronger. I will also say a big benefit to it has been, I think it can replace a resume. I've actually had multiple opportunities that have come to me since I put my site together, because people can see who I am and what I'm about. And now all of a sudden it's, let's talk about how I can work with you, how you can work with me, as opposed to, let me prove to you with a sheet of paper, everything I've done. So no, it's a lot more powerful, I think, than people realize. And you can
Wow.
do it.
Wow. I agree. I mean, you mentioned points that I prepared for, like a follow-up question, like the importance of building a personal brand. And that's nice. That's nice. It shows authenticity, that you really know and understand what it needs to have, a solid and a strong personal brand. And I love that. Um, I always believe that, it's very important to connect with your audience, your market, not because you're selling something or not because you're building something, but like what you've said, you that's a way of introducing who you are, right? And there's a good thing with that. On top of them knowing who you are and what you do, it humanizes that setup. It humanizes your brand. It humanizes something that they see online. And it breaks the barrier of, hey, is Shon authentic? Is John, the Creative Talk podcast, authentic? Do they really care? By sharing them, either videos or having them in your life, in your daily journey, it humanizes the brand. And when that happens, they figure and understand who you are. Oh, so Sean is doing like this. Sean is doing like this. This is her core values. It's just natural that it naturally flow. And like what you've said, you don't need a piece of paper for that. It's a digital footprint, so to speak. So when they see you, like what happened, for all our viewers and our listeners, this is an example. When we were having a communication back and forth, me and Shon, the podcast link was there. So it's a way for her to have an overview and to feel the vibe of the show. So that humanizes the brand, and that gives her a glimpse of what we offer, what we stand for, what is the show about. Therefore, we have an awesome guest here today with us. And that's something that we should all be doing in our personal brand. It's not just throwing out content. It's really connecting to people, humanizing the brand, and building something for them to know what you do, who you are, and what do you stand for, because that gives authenticity, credibility, and I believe with that makes a solid brand.
Absolutely. I mean, people really do want authenticity now. I think that's probably the big buzzword that everybody cares about. And, it's been interesting, for people who don't care about golf, what they can learn about me is that I'm very passionate about giving back. Dogs are a big, a big love of my life. And, and I think that if when you go to my site, that's a little bit of what you learn about me. Maybe you don't connect with me because you could care less, about golf, but maybe you do appreciate the fact that that giving back to me is big, or that I really am a big fan of women's empowerment and helping women achieve their career goals. And especially in entrepreneurship.
There you go. I mean, it's not just about, the golf thing. It's beyond that. I don't know how to play golf. I've tried. But, beyond that, I mean, that's just being authentic, right? It's not just the focus of the show is about golf. And so we can't connect. No, guys, for everyone that is listening and watching, you can discover beyond that. I can only speak for myself. I find Shon very friendly, very humble. We talk about a lot of things, branding, business, and like what you've said, women empowerment, leadership, business. It's a lot, and I suggest that you do connect, and you'll be surprised of what you can talk about and discover. Not just for her, but for everyone. It's not just about the niche. It's more than that. That's why you need to build relationship. It's not just one casual talk and it's done. You build relationship and you will discover a lot of things.
Absolutely. You got it nailed down.
All right. So, with that said, Shon, and I know you give a lot of points and topics already, but I want you to give like basic giveaway for our listeners and viewers about the benefits. Why would you invest in your personal brand?
Well, I think, you need to look out for you first. And I think that you've got to be your own biggest champion. So personal branding to me is probably the number one way you can do that. If you're not going to be able to go around and promote yourself all day, every day to everyone, you've got to be able to manage the place that people are going to see it, which is going to be online. We've talked about websites, but there's other things you can be looking at. Certainly, everybody's been told to be mindful of, how they present themselves on social media. You've also got things where you can, pay to have someone help you manage your reputation online, or at least look out for things. But I think it's the biggest things for me. You don't know what opportunities are out there. And I think waiting until something shows up and then saying, hey, I want that, maybe putting that out there. I always believe putting out there what you want, putting out there who you are. I think the opportunities and what I've seen already is that I have had more doors open up as a result of people getting who I am, understanding who I am, understanding the pieces of what makes me and how, they see me more as this whole person, not just a golf broadcaster, but they see me in my full element. And I think that for the biggest thing for me, like I said, has been the doors it's opened. And why wouldn't you want to always have that? I mean, you can love what you're doing for a living, but why would you not want to at least keep those doors open, keep the relationships open? I think that that's always a smart thing to be doing in business and in life.
Wow, I love that. And I totally agree. Wow, I learned a lot, Shon. It's just, power packed learning after learning after learning. Thank you for sharing those wonderful points. Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right. So, Shon, now we are in the part of the show that we will play a game. Okay. First part of the show, you share your stories, your journey, how you came to be this awesome human being you are right now. Then mid part of the show, we gave tips, learning after learning about personal branding, business, and a lot of things. And now, why we will play a game is for our viewers and listeners to see that yes, in spite of being an entrepreneur, a broadcaster, a coach, an expert, you are a human being that sometimes don't know what to say, laugh, and just be silly. This humanizes the brand.
Very nice. I can do that very well.
All right. So we call this game the Creative Fast Talk. Okay. How we play it? I will be asking you random questions that you will answer, but you are not allowed to spend much time in thinking what the best answer would be. The first word that comes into your mind, shoot. All right?
All right.
Ready?
I'm ready. I'm getting competitive. I figured I want to win, but this is not one of those games. So, okay.
Relax. You are the star of the show. Like what I said, you are the star of the show. It's all about you. All right. First question. Sun or snow?
Sun.
Okay. Structured or chaotic?
Structured.
I can see that. All right, next. I want you to be honest with this one, okay? Love or money?
Oh, love.
Okay, nice.
But I do love money.
I told you. I was waiting for that. No, good. The authenticity. All right, next. Popcorns and movies or dinner and dancing?
Oh, gosh. I love them both, but dinner and dancing.
I love it. Nice. Okay. Shon, what are you afraid of?
Oh gosh. This is a tough one. Honestly, my own mind sometimes, I guess.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have to elaborate, right?
No. It's good. That's for a different topic.
No, I'm an overthinker, and sometimes I wish I could quiet my mind a little better. I'm working on it, so work in progress.
Yeah, I figured that out because you answered you're structured. So
yes.
It usually comes together. Next,
right, hand in hand.
Simple question. Favorite color?
Blue.
Passenger or driver?
Driver.
Well, you answered this actually, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Hot or cold?
Hot. Well, if we're talking about temperature and guys, I don't know. I don't know where I go with that.
Very good. I love it. Mountains or the beaches?
Oh gosh, I love both as well, but I'll say beaches.
Yeah, so you should visit the Philippines then.
Oh, okay. Yes. One of my best friends is from the Philippines. So she's been saying that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. If you were an animal, what animal would you be and why?
I would be a dog, and I actually would be my dog because he's living a very good life. He's the boss. He eats a lot of good food. He's living his best life. I'll tell you that.
Wow. Right now. Wow. Who doesn't want that?
I mean, I guess dogs are supposed to be man's best friend, but my dog really runs the show around this place. So yeah.
Nice. Very good. Okay. Movies or books?
Oh gosh. Movies.
All right. Since you answered that, there's a follow-up question with that. Your top 3 movies of all time.
Okay, so top 3. I'm gonna go Hoosiers. Jerry Maguire.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, and oh gosh, gotta have one more in there. What is another good? movie that I've probably seen a million times. Gosh. I'm drawing a blank.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
yeah,
we
you
have
wanted me to
two.
come quickly.
Yeah, we have two. We have two. All right. All good. Next, this is a weird question. Okay. Soap or toothbrush?
Oh gosh, toothbrush.
All right. Your
That is weird.
well, okay. Well, I accept that. Okay. Toothbrush it is. Next, your dream superpower and why?
I would love to read minds.
Scary.
I would love to know what people are thinking. It might get a little chaotic if I didn't have control over it, but I think that'd be fun.
That's scary. A structured woman like you with powers to read minds. Wow. That's chaotic.
That could be a problem. That could be a good movie, though. A good third movie that I'd watch. So.
All right. The next business that we will be, venturing in is producing your movie. All right. What is the weirdest food you've ever tried?
Oh gosh, I've tried a lot of interesting foods. Fish eyeballs. Yeah. And I have a texture thing, a thing with texture. So that didn't go over very well. But I tried it and never again. Check that one off the list.
Right. Okay, last question. This is a traditional question that we always ask here in the show. This could be serious depending on what your answer would be. So it's up to you. All right. Last question would be, if you have the power to bring back someone back from the dead, who would it be and why?
For me, that's an easy one. I have a dear friend who passed away it's been 6 years ago. I met him on the golf course, 15 years ago, and we became fast friends. He was in his 60s when I met him. And so, he died suddenly. But what I loved about him is I met him on the golf course. He was playing in front of me and was watching me play and invited me to join his group. After that, I ended up playing with these same 3 older guys every week. And he made me my first custom golf club. He loved golf. I could call him and talk to him about golf for hours. And sadly, he passed away right after my husband proposed. So I always think that in a strange way, he was making sure that I was taken care of. But I miss him dearly. I love him to death. So he would easily be the one.
Wow. And I'm sure he is very proud of where you are right now. And he's looking he loves you and he cares for you.
I hope so.
Wow. So, Shon, thank you so much for answering those silly questions. It's very interesting to know that you are structured and very dangerous to have, powers that can read minds.
Yes, right.
Thank you for, being with us here in the show. I know you have a lot of releases, so please promote your social media accounts, any advertisements that you want to promote. If you have online events, online releases, the floor is yours. Feel free to promote.
Well, thank you. So my website is shoncrewe.com, SHONCREWE.com. My Twitter account is @Shon Crew. And my 10th season, actually my first season now as the host of my own show, debuts on March 11th. I'll be covering the Players, the 5th major of in men's golf. I'll be covering the Players on 710 ESPN Seattle. If you Google 710 ESPN Seattle, you should be able to find the show. I am moving to Thursday morning, so it's a 6 a.m. time slot. I'm super excited about that.
Wow, guys, please do check Shon out. I mean, wow, such an awesome human being. Shon, thank you so much again for being with us here in the show. I'm amazed. I learned a lot and it was a good conversation. I really love our conversation, the opinions, the perspective that you shared, answering and having a time to be silly and discovering that you are structured and scary with mind reading powers.
Well, I don't have a them yet, but I aspire. Thank you so much. It's
All
been
right,
great being on
guys.
the show.
Yes. So it was a wonderful episode. We hope you learned something, and please do connect with Shon. She will guide you in your journey towards success. Please listen, subscribe, share, follow, and like us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. The Creative Talk podcast is ready for you. This is Jan Santos with an amazing guest, Shon Crew. Have a positive outlook in life, guys. Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you for being with us here on the Creative Talk Podcast. I'm your host, John Santos. Don't forget to listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. See you again, always.